keep paying attention throughout the show. I think you're going to love our guest today and find out a little bit more.
Sweet.
Yeah, there we go. So that's... now, I still have to figure out how to find it on my...
I think you just need to bring your MacBook. It'll be faster.
I brought that
easier.
time last time, and...
Is it just too much stuff on the table again?
Yeah.
It gets squirrely.
I want to say it's about the electronics of things,
He
but
doesn't like clutter.
no, I'm all about clutter. That's my problem. I get confused easily, but I still like it. Hey, look at that. Celebrate your friendship with Melissa McFarland.
Melissa, good morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see you live now.
Oh, I'm waiting to see me live now.
Here.
Okay.
See yourself live.
Oh, no.
Oh.
I just want to bring up the
John, always,
comment page. All right. All right, Facebook, 1 minute till we go live. Let's see here. Let's invite some people.
I'm inviting.
I've got a list to go through. Let's see if we can wake some people up by inviting them.
Well, surely these realtors are up at 9 o'clock in the morning.
I wouldn't be so sure about that, to be honest. So we go through this list. Personally inviting people to watch the show today. Most of whom are going to be at work. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to invite Cheyenne Campbell Sprouse.
Oh, thank you. I might attend. I'm not sure. Unsure. Oh, we have a new song?
No. Wow.
We went a little jazzy on the intro. I like it. Bum, bum.
Good morning, Houston. Love the reverb I get to hear once in a while. I want to start out by saying welcome and hello to the over 52,000 fans and followers of I-45 Now. If you are hearing the sound of my voice and you have not come across an I-45 Now post on Facebook,
where
on
you
your
been?
news feed, yeah, where you been? I mean, it's like Facebook news, local news.
It's awesome.
It is completely awesome. You find out from events to current situations happening, from traffic reports, and it's all brought to Facebook from the community, and all just lumped in one place. So I just want to say welcome to everyone. We're really excited to kind of have you as followers of the radio station as well. So I suggest at some point spend a few minutes and look up I-45 Now, but do it after the show. After my show in particular. So, all right, folks, look who's back. Smiling faces, and we have the King Croissant himself, Will Misegades.
We're getting that embroidered on the sweater.
Owner of Redfish Inspections, and of course, the lovely Miss Cheyenne Sprouse, marketing maven for Redfish Inspections, who, by the way, has been MIA for some reason. I hadn't seen her in... Well, since last week, yeah, it seems like forever because I'm used to seeing you or hearing from you at least. And then I asked your boss, I'm like, where's Cheyenne? I don't know. I haven't seen her. So we figured we'd have to, hold some accountability here. Miss Cheyenne, what you been up to this week?
'Tis the season. I've been hitting lots of realtor Christmas parties and events. Yesterday. Oh gosh, yes. Yesterday I was up really early, 5:30. To be at a realtor breakfast by 6:30. So the Bay Area Networking Realtor Group had their annual Christmas party and show, and it's really fun to watch these guys because they theme it out every year. So this year is what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So there were, some men and showgirls. Was that at 6:30
in the morning?
It started at 7.
Oh
yeah.
my!
So I got to do some pictures out there of those crew and Will Cossaboom and some really cool characters just dressed up. So it was fun.
That's awesome.
How'd you manage to wake up that early?
I barely went to sleep.
She actually started the What Happens in Vegas party earlier at 2:30, and therefore it just was continuing for her.
Yes.
So you have been, and I know it's a busy time, and as we're talking about gifts, I was presented this morning. Now, maybe out of guilt, to be honest with you, but
I was going to message you to ask you about that.
But I don't know where I'm showing this, but
oh look, it's our fancy new swag sweaters.
It's a hoodie, And hoodies are cool.
Hoodies are super cool.
I like it. Look.
To the front.
To the front.
Turn
I'm being
around.
told now.
Turn around.
I'm getting there.
You gotta
So
show
there
it
we go.
all off. Look at that.
Oh,
Pop
there
your
we go.
hood.
There
Nice.
we go. And I'll be sporting this, with the vest throughout the day today because it will be cool enough for me to
It's
wear this.
freezing. I live in this thing.
She really does.
I do.
As do the rest of my staff, actually.
Well, they're good quality. This isn't like cheap stuff. I could tell. This is like
nice.
thick. Wash it carefully. You want to take care of it. It's embroidered perfectly. I think this is lovely. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
And
We need to work on a store section on our new website.
I'm open to that.
Yeah, if you want to be one of the cool kids rocking one of our sweaters, let us know and we'll see about it.
So
Yeah.
I was at Champion School of Real Estate a couple weekends ago, I guess, or Fridays ago, and I was just there to give a testimonial on a mastermind group that I'm part of. And so this person was talking in front of about 25 home inspectors or soon-to-be home inspectors, and I walked in with this hoodie, and you had about 5 guys say, well, how can we get one of those?
Come work for us.
Come work for us.
That's it. And I think a good company is always looking to hire, and I know that Redfish Inspections is always looking to develop and train inspectors. So if you just have that general curiosity about you, and you like, if you're, you like working around homes and stuff, and you kind of have that brain, get with Redfish Inspections.
If you want something new every day, multiple times a day.
That's true. I really enjoy your videos that you do on Facebook about, what you're spotting out there, because it really is an eye opener for me, but I just enjoy it. And I keep going, like, I cringe when you do the roof ones.
Oh, they're
What
scary.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The walking
turn
on the
around.
roof?
Yeah, the walking on the roof. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's doing a video. So you're holding it in one hand. That's the thing. And not that you need your hands for the roof, but if you're going to fall, you're going to need both hands. So,
Hopefully I won't fall.
yeah.
I kind of thought of him the other day because we always watch Santa Claus at the beginning of the Christmas season, and the Santa Claus falls off the roof and he dies, and then the new guy becomes Santa because he puts on the suit, and so the reindeer give him like a rope to tie himself up on the roof so he doesn't fall off, and I'm like, oh, we should get redfish ropes.
Ooh, redfish ropes.
There you go.
That works for me.
That is very interesting. All right, so now that we've caught up a little bit with them, and obviously we did say they are always looking to hire good people. You don't necessarily need to have experience in a job. I know Will is willing to train.
Absolutely. I always have someone in training. So that's rule. That's one of the first
That's
rules.
kind of like bullet in the chamber.
Okay. If you want-
Gotcha.
when you're in growth mode, you always need someone in training. Actually, you need multiple because not everybody's going to make the cut.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about that. Now, this time of year, real estate professionals will tell you tend to slow down for a lot of different reasons. So, I'm assuming when we slow down, inspections slow down. Am I wrong? Right?
When I was a single operator, yes. And so, I mean, you always have slower seasons.
Right, slower.
We've been working really hard at getting rid of the slow season and just being a busy season all the time. So, yeah, it slows down a little bit, but we're up about 45% right now.
That's awesome. And that's the misnomer about this. Even though sales, when I say they slow down, there's still always people buying and still always people selling. So it depends, can you get that business?
Yep.
And that's really where it's at. So that answers that question. Very good.
We have job openings.
All right, there we go. And there's always going to be a place for you. Remember, be that bullet in the chamber for
Yes.
Will. So, all right, guys, let's talk a little bit about last time Will was here. I think we sent out a challenge, an international challenge. Let's see who we can get. And so I know Will was kind of pointing to some countries that we may not have gotten. So we want to find out if we can get them. So I've been inviting some people from different countries. I think I have a Japan in there. I have a Canada.
I have a couple in Australia, so
There
we're
we-
going to invite
Nice.
them.
There we go. And Cheyenne, who are you going to bring to the table? what country are you going to bring to the
Put me
table?
on that spot. Let's go South America. I like that little South
All right.
American flair.
Do you actually know people there?
I'll find some.
She's friending
got
people
friends
during the show. Yeah.
Got connections.
Yeah, you're going to get like the spam alert thing on you, like stalker.
My neighbor's got his. He trains boxers, and they're all ages next door. Like not boxers, but boxers. Fighters.
Like
Oh, okay.
ring boxers.
Yeah, ring boxers.
The
And
real
He's got
boxers.
him convinced that Nick is part of the cartel, so they leave him alone.
The Redfish cartel? What?
Yeah, no, yeah, that one.
Wow. Redfish boxing gloves.
Roll it in the chamber? What?
We're going to come up with a whole line of just really cool swag.
There's
stuff.
plenty of things, because there's plenty of things you can do with red that look good.
Yeah.
So swag is a good idea. Fishing gear might be good too.
Oh, tackle boxes. Nice.
Just saying.
I like the way you think.
Just saying. The little measuring tapes that they sell that fold out.
Well, we
They
already
listed-
have a measuring
Well,
tape.
that's a girly
I'm talking
measuring
about-
tape for
I'm talking about a
windows. We're
fish.
talking about redfish.
Where it says
Sharks.
fit, your fish has to be this size, or
Yeah.
for redfish.
with the scale thing.
Yeah, with the scale.
Well, no. Go there. No, those are never easy to use. If you can pick it up, it may not be heavy enough to where you need it. That's all I figure on that. All right, so we're inviting away. Now, here's the thing with the country challenge. Comment if you're invited or you're hearing our voice. Comment on the video of the country you're from. This way, I get immediate knowledge of what's going on. And apparently, it's Lori Long's birthday. That popped up on my page today. So
Happy birthday,
Lori Long.
Happy birthday. Joyeux anniversaire.
Ooh.
I keep forgetting. We need to bring that up, and we need to isolate those things.
Feliz cumpleaños.
I think the combination of you two, of Leon's voice, and your French, and we can kind of meld them together.
It's the show.
What, like me repeating what he just said?
Oh, that'd be
Or
funny. Say joyeux anniversaire.
What?
Yeah,
We lost him.
yeah, that's it.
We lost Leon.
We got what out of
Je
that?
m'appelle.
You could just pretend. You could just pretend. I'm hoping the people can hear you on
He's
Facebook.
like Pepe Le
when you
Pew
do
back
this.
there. He's got the
Yeah.
suavemente and
Yeah, they
the
can hear me.
voice.
They can hear me now.
Oh.
Oh.
All right, there we go. So let's try it again. Try to teach Leon a little bit of French.
Joyeux
Joyeux
anniversaire.
Vasseur.
Anniversaire.
anniversaire.
And the vaisselle.
Yeah,
Anniversaire.
it's a little hard to
You
get.
want-
Roll it, Leon.
I
You
gotta
gotta-
wait, like a R in Spanish, like a.
No, it's in the back of the
it's,
throat.
it's in the throat.
It's like a
not,
growl.
It's not the tongue.
Like a growl.
It's not. It's.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't developed that part of my throat yet, so I have to.
All right, next.
Moving on.
Thank you. That was Leon. And for more Leon, you can no. That was the redfish French. Now, you know Finnish, right? Or what do they call it?
Cool.
That
That
one's
means
so
yes.
confusing. It's just a mess.
Is it Finnish? Is it called Finnish?
Uh huh.
Okay. yeah.
Yep. With
All
two
right.
N's.
Okay. So you know Finnish, and you know English,
French.
and you know French.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear something in Finnish from you, because I think I tried doing Finnish a couple or last month back when I was welcoming people from there, and you didn't correct me, but I should have asked you if I said it right, because I know there's a lot of. Don't they usually put the accent or the punch on the second letter of the words in general?
Maybe, I don't know. I just speak it.
Let me hear some
All
Finnish.
right. Some French or some Finnish.
Finnish.
Hyvää päivää. Miten menee käveli?
I think he said something like he has a cavity.
That's what I heard.
No, that means hi. How are you? How are you doing, my friend?
Okay, interesting. Now, and you, again, I always have this thing of where you're in France and there's baguettes, and that's you. But Finland is really home, or
No,
No.
that was really home for 4 years.
okay, all right. So 4 years.
Yeah.
All right.
It might have been even longer had I not met Erin.
So you're
My
blaming
wife.
it on Aaron.
Yes. she brought me over here. So yeah.
There you go.
There's no blame. There's
Yeah.
all love.
Nothing for Aaron here in the U.S. She had to go overseas to. No, just kidding.
Did she meet you in France or did she meet you in Dallas?
In Dallas.
In Dallas. Okay,
That's
so
an international city.
Yeah.
I call that. you can meet anybody there. All right, guys. So remember, comment where you're from, and this way we can get a good gauge. We're going. I would love to have that remote place in South America or the jungle somewhere, but they generally don't have Wi-Fi. It'd be kind of strange.
I heard this. I think it's called Constellation Point, but it said if you wanted to be farthest away from anyone else in the world, you could go to this island, and you would be closer to someone in the International Space Station than you would be to a person on the planet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I'll have to look at the name of it. That's pretty crazy.
That's probably the island, the place you would hope could make it habitable, and I bet you can sell it.
Yeah.
So, wonder where that kind of goes from. All right, guys, we have about a minute left before our first break, and I want everybody to kind of gear up for a little Q&A with Will and Cheyenne. We're going to talk about a few things today. First, we're going to start with season preparedness, and then we're going to go into mold.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. No. What does mold have to do with redfish inspections? We're going to find out. So here in about a minute or so. So if you have any questions, you're curious about a home inspection, if you happen to be at that magical point in your buying transaction where your real estate agent is recommending, I would say do some shopping on your own too. Not that your real estate agent's wrong, because trust me, they know from experience who'll work better for you. But you should also do your own shopping as well. So if redfish isn't being mentioned, just get on the computer. Check them out. They've got great reviews. They've got a great website, www.redfishinspections.com. All right, folks, we'll see you back in a couple minutes. On to commercials.
You're glistening
Am I sweating?
a little bit.
It is.
There you go.
They
It's
do have the
warmer
heat
in here
working.
today,
Yeah,
yeah.
they do have the heat. They actually had it working last week, so it took a while.
Amazing.
Yeah, and you know it's a weird heat system here. It's like, from what I understand, there's a main thermostat that all the other thermostats connect into to trigger this thermostat that then goes to one furnace.
Interesting.
Kind of deal. So it's kind of weird. Kind of weird how they do it. All right, so still inviting some people. And remember, Facebook Live people, make sure you come on in and give us some questions. If you want to know more about working for redfish inspections, you can, ask some questions here, or you can go to their website and send them an email as well.
Absolutely. We'll be happy to answer any questions. We'll be happy to also interview people who want to work for us.
There we go. And if you get hired, you may eventually get to wear one of these. Of course, only good during the cold season, because if you wear this is such good quality.
It is
that if you
warm.
wear this during the summer, you'll just pass out from heat exhaustion. So this is cool. This is
Yeah, I had them made in Utah, so it's made more, for that kind of weather.
that makes sense.
Up in the mountains.
That's smart. You wouldn't try to get heavy winter apparel from Florida. You might have to question that. That might be it. However, the redfish bikini is coming up during the summer. So
Are you going to wear it?
That's not going to happen.
no, I wasn't going to be the model. Certainly, you'd want to promote your name, but not in that way. But we could. You know what? Redfish could sponsor some kind of the redfish pageant. I don't know, and Kelly could coordinate it.
Fish tails.
And there, fish tails. That's another one. Redfish fish tails bikini pageant.
Oh, boy.
I'm sure Doug and Bertrand will be in for judging that.
Well, I was thinking, since we have a professional beauty pageant,
Yes.
in Kelly Williams, she would be all about that. All you have to do is put in money.
I was going to say, are you providing the scholarship fund?
That's just the way I do things. That's the way I roll.
Living on the edge.
Yeah. I try to play it by ear. Not really.
Oh,
Okay.
no. Dun, dun.
I have an inane sense of timing. Welcome back to the Bringing It Home radio show, and I'm your host and local real estate expert, John Wilkinson. Okay, if you're just joining us, I'm here with Will Misegades and Cheyenne Sprouse of Redfish Inspections. Welcome back, guys.
Thanks.
Always good to see. I look over and I look over Cheyenne. She's always got that smile on your face. Not that you don't have a smile, but it's just
Aw.
you've got that sunshiny part. It could just be that the light's right on you too.
Beaming.
But yeah, your eyes are glimmering. But I think that's all light. So, but do you
Well,
feel good about
thanks.
yourself? No.
Gosh.
Getting there. I love Cheyenne. I always do. Will, always a pleasure having you as always. Let's talk about seasonal preparedness.
Yes.
Now I know there's a list out here. I'm going to throw something out that's not house related first.
Okay.
And it's about being prepared. For the love of everything that's holy, if you put those darn antlers and Rudolph nose on your car, check them every day. I am tired of running over those one thing, that antler or nose every day. I actually got hit by one this week. One flew off the car in front of me, and I said, that's it, I'm going to say something. So I'm okay. Celebrate.
I went through 3 sets of those 2 years ago.
You see what I mean? You probably took somebody out.
Maybe so. The kids always want to roll down the windows on the freeway.
You don't believe me? Guys, when you're out on the road today, notice, I'm not saying, lock on anything, but look how many of those cars are driving around with just one of those antlers on the side. If you're going to do that,
festive.
yeah, no, you know what? I'm all about celebrate away. Just celebrate, properly. Do your due diligence. When you get done, get home for the day, tighten them up a little bit. Refasten a little bit. 1, you're littering. Half the time you're littering. 2, you look silly driving down there with the one antler and the red nose thing. And you look a little bit off and out of it. But then 3, 1 hit my car as we were driving. And that could have been, I didn't know what it was.
The new car.
Well, whatever it may be, it doesn't matter. Just imagine if I was a bicyclist and that hit me. I would have been like in the middle of the road and flipped. I don't know. Just
It's a little dramatic.
I know, but
isn't the red nose like
foam
or like a piece of cotton?
But foam dropped from the Empire State Building. It might kill you.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't kill you. But that's not the point. It's the point that something all of a sudden is being flicked at you. Now, let alone it looks like it's brown or pointy coming at you, and then or something big and red. You don't know what it is. It doesn't have to be heavy to knock you out. All I'm saying is be a conscientious celebrator of the holiday, okay?
Fair enough.
Take care of your stuff. Now, has nothing to do with your house and has nothing to do about preparing for the season. We're not going to get a big season, though we did have snow last week. It was last week, wasn't it?
Where was the snow? Mm-hmm. I mean, where was this episode last week in the cold preparedness when it snowed? God.
I guess we need to go back to the future.
The past.
Whatever it works. we're gonna catch up now. But some of this has nothing to do with the snow because there are things to do out there, this list. But there are things to do this time of year anyway. And so Will was kind enough to put together a little list for me. So let's talk about some of those things that you have, and I'll throw in. All right. So tell me about it. What are some things you suggest?
All right. One of the first things that you want to do before it starts getting cold is really, call your HVAC technician to come out and look at your heating system. We are in Texas, southern part of Texas, so we rarely get to use the furnace. But especially if you're in an older house and the furnace is getting old, you definitely want to get that checked out before you fire it up.
Well, and I can throw this in here. I actually had to call out my home warranty company last week for the first time on my furnace. And again, we don't use it often enough to even know, but I know it worked last year. So this was the first turn on of the year, and it was cold. Again, it was the night we snowed, ironically, and we did not have a heater that night because I turned it on, it wouldn't come on. So, the first thing I do is DIY. Let me see, I'm checking circuit breakers, and I check and everything, and I can't figure it out. I'm not going to take apart this unit to find out. So I called the home warranty company, and all it was one of the wires in the harness got a little bit loose somehow, whatever way. But
just vibrations.
Yeah, and they just took care of it just like that. But my wife was freezing. So much so, she called off. She went in late. She didn't. I want to call off because just in case somebody's listening from her work. She didn't. She called in late because she was too cold to leave bed. She did not want to leave the bed. That was her. She was like, I just hate getting out of this bed right now. So, because I put the heating pad down for her, and
you're a good husband.
I did my part, and then I went to bed, and she wasn't even in bed yet when that happened. So anyway, I can't stress to you. You never know. And is it normal when you turn on the furnace for the first time to smell that?
The burn.
Yeah, the burn. Yeah. Is that normal? I just want to make sure.
Normal. Yeah. It doesn't matter what type of furnace you have. You'll have dust that will accumulate on either the burners or the resistance. And so, it just burns that dust off, and that's it.
Okay.
So, don't get frightened. It's totally normal. If you start having a bunch of smoke in the house, then that might be a little different.
What if your carbon monoxide timer goes off when you turn that on? Is that going to kind of be expected too?
No, you should never have that. Mm-mm.
So, don't put that smell and go, oh, the carbon monoxide detector's going off. That's normal. It'll go away.
It's fine.
Next thing you know, you're blacking out. No. No. Open some windows and turn everything off.
I'll tell you, especially after the hurricane, if you've had a new roof replaced, you definitely want to have your HVAC system checked out, because what happens is the roofers go up there and they start pulling on the roof protrusions, and sometimes it's the flue, the water heater flue, the furnace flue, and they don't realize what they're doing down in the attic where your appliances are going to be.
Right, and that's a very good point, because you take those, especially with the water heater, those are so easily moved. The water heaters, and like we have two, and I always have to check just to make sure and feel comfortable.
Yep.
Those things are removed. You're getting heat that's shooting straight up into a ceiling part, and all
And
the
the exhaust,
fumes
exactly.
are being released into the attic.
Yeah, we write probably 2 or 3 water heater flues that are displaced a week. So it's not an uncommon thing.
Wow, that's a great tip. That all started with the furnaces.
Yes.
Awesome. What else you got for us?
Another one, man, I think we talked about that probably a couple of years ago. But especially as before winter actually comes in, but even now, every now and then, it's going to be 60, 65 degrees today.
About.
So it's getting, a little warmer to where you can open up your windows. One great thing that you could do is on a yearly basis, just work your windows. Just push them up and down, open them up, close them, because otherwise they're going to seize over time. And then you have springs in your windows and they're going to break. And so just like anything, you need to exercise.
Yep. We've got that problem right now with our windows, real cheap windows, but the springs are broken in 2 or 3 of them. So you can't close it all the way on one side.
And along with that is, this time of year, the loss of heat. Just like during the summer, the AC will slip out because it's not sealed correctly. So if they're not closing correctly or they're too tight, that means you have something grabbing one place more than the other. So you should also check, I guess, for your weather stripping on there, which I haven't really done, but I know I need to. It's on, my wife has a list on the refrigerator of
honey-do
things.
list.
Yeah, it's kind of like she makes it where both of us are going to do it, but I noticed
In
that.
reality.
Yeah, I noticed that most of the stuff is stuff that I still have not yet done. And one of them is weather strip the windows. That, I can't tell you how important that really is, because when you look, you can see where the wind has blown in dirt and dust, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of air coming in through here, so how much are we losing? So I think that goes along with the whole thing, is weather stripping is important for your windows as well.
And around your doors as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I did do this year. That was
All
on the
right.
list. I did do that one. I was blaming it because she didn't do something to the door that I couldn't do the weather stripping, but
We have the worst luck with weather stripping. We keep putting it on and it just keeps coming back off. Glued it and peel and stick and...
see, I use the peel and stick. It seems to
Yeah.
work, the black thin stuff.
You might want to try the metal weather strip, to where that actually
On the
is,
sides?
Well, it's inside the door.
Oh, okay.
We are talking about doors, right?
Yeah.
So the metal weather strips, basically it's going to be like in a V shape, and that is nailed into the frame. So it won't come
Oh,
off.
okay. I haven't tried those. Good to know.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So, you want to make sure that the caulk is in good condition around all of your openings, windows and doors. You will get a lot of air infiltration, so you want to do that on the exterior as well as the interior.
And I heard something interesting. It's every 2 years you should go and kind of recaulk everything from
I think
cabinets and doors and windows and...
that's going to depend on the quality that you use in the first place. The one thing that many people don't know is you really have to remove the old stuff before you apply the new stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's the worst part, by the way.
I'll never
Yes.
do that.
I started that one time. I was going to say, I'm going to redo my windows. I'm going to be a responsible homeowner. And I started taking the caulk out, and that was the most tedious job.
It's awful.
I finished like a corner of a window, and I was like, you know what? Give me
This
that caulk.
sucks.
And I just put it right there. I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? We're going to get new windows one year. We're still waiting. But, so yeah, that's the terrible part. You can pay people to do that, but you're going to pay for that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you know that your AC system is about, it's on its last leg, get it replaced right now. It'll cost you less money.
That
Than
is a
during the
good
summer.
tip.
So yeah, I mean, nobody really wants to be up in the attic during the summer, and so,
Yeah.
but that's when your AC usually fails. And so if you have money aside and you know that you need to replace it eventually, just get it replaced during the winter, when it's slower season for the HV for the
Wow.
cooling portion of it.
That's a good tip. Yeah, and that makes complete sense. Yes, prices do go up when you need it the most. That's the way it works.
Yeah. If you're also planning on adding more insulation in your attic, then make sure that the contractor you use does it properly. One of the biggest issues that we find with flipped houses is they go up there, they blow the insulation in, but then they block all of the soffits. So the soffits is where the air is going to come from the exterior and kind of ventilate out the attic and go through either your static vents towards the top of the roof or your ridge vents. And so you don't want to block that off, otherwise you create.
And
more
that's pretty
damage.
common too. You're right. A lot of people, that's an easy job. A lot of people that you can go to Home Depot and you can rent the machine and you can buy the stuff, and they don't know that either. They do it themselves. And
What's kind of an average, like, good fluffiness height of insulation
Fluffiness
is?
height.
Well, I've seen attics before where it looks like a snowy winterland and you just want to jump in it because it's 4 feet tall
Oh,
worth
man,
of fluff.
you're gonna
you
itch.
don't want to jump in that. Cheyenne's out there. Yeah, I can see.
Not that
I can
I
see
have.
Nick pumping it in, and Cheyenne's out there playing in the pile. Yay!
Someone needs to scratch my back now. Yeah. So for blown-in fiberglass insulation, nowadays in this part of the country, the standards are about 12 inches.
Okay.
So 12 to 15 inches, depending on who actually installs it. But the minimum, I believe, is 12 inches.
Yeah, I've seen it. You know, they go 14 to 16 on there. But again, that is that blown in good compared to
The roll-in sheets?
The roll sheets.
So, man, we're going into building science now. The biggest issue with the roll-in sheets is you have a couple, and oftentimes they're done by DIYers. And so the issue is they'll put the paper on top. And so oftentimes those batt insulation, the roll-in insulation will have paper, and that really should be against the drywall. That's your vapor barrier.
Okay.
If you put it on top, it'll create, or it's going to trap moisture between the drywall and that paper. And then the other bigger issue is it really needs to be snug in between the joists. If it's not snug, then your insulation just turns into a big air filter. So in order for insulation to work, it's got to be in contact with the three surfaces that you're trying to insulate.
All right, that's interesting. The more we know. Tidbits, folks. And a lot of this is DIY, but, you know. All right, what else we got? We've got 7 seconds left. That's what we got. Well, we are going to come back with some more season preparedness because there's still plenty more to talk about with that. And it's a perfect time to top off your cup of joe if you need some. I still have some. You guys are empty.
Where's mine?
Yeah, where's that? All right, guys, we'll be back in a couple minutes.
Do you have that list?
He does. These little check marks. Shoot you a picture of it.
So you go up in your attic on a regular basis to check your water heater flue?
I actually do. I'm
Good.
paranoid about it,
Should be.
and really, I'll be honest with you, I'm paranoid about it because it is at a little angle, and I've had to finagle it on there, and I'm afraid if we have a windstorm or something that it will be off, like too much wind.
You're
so
fine.
I run up and check again.
He's told you that story with them getting sick up in the attic that time, right?
Oh yeah, I got sick up in an attic once. I was doing the attic inspection, and I came around and I saw the two water heater flues completely disconnected, completely. And so
That's that same one where the mom was leaving
yeah.
with the daughter.
And so the sellers happened to come back, and the lady's like, "Yeah, I'm taking my daughter to the doctors because she's been feeling ill for the last month or so, and we can't figure out what's going on." And so when I walked out, my head started spinning, and that was after I had replaced the flues. And I went, you know what? I bet that's what the issue is. And so the mom was still there, and I said, hey, I think the problem is this. Your water heater flues have been disconnected for quite some time, it seems like. When did you get your roof replaced? And she said, well, it's been about 3-4 months.
Wow.
And so that's most likely the reason why her daughter was sick, who was sleeping like right on the other side of where the water heaters were.
It could have been a lot worse.
Yes, it could have.
Oh, my.
But
See,
that's why you want to get a home inspection.
That is why. And you want to maintain it, and you want to listen to shows like this to get those
Yeah.
tips. I mean, that's why I'm kind of paranoid about that, but too much pledge now. Hey, it's a perfect buffer.
Dude, you're like wiping the table off with the new hoodie.
No, I was polishing.
No.
I'm polishing.
You're going to hear this. This is so awesome.
No.
Yes. So I give him the hoodie, and we go back into his office. And he goes, man, I really love this. This is awesome, because I do kind of dress down, that nobody knows about it. And I went, what? You call this dressing down?
I'm offended on 2 levels now, John.
I offended. I was offended that I offended. I mean, it was not meant that way. I am notorious for sticking the foot in the mouth. I am bad at taking compliments, and I am even terrible at getting gifts because
You did order his life-size cutout, right?
Extra charge for that stuff.
We're gonna order it. We're gonna put the jacket on there. That's what I'll do.
I like it. I know I'm going to be wearing this out.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm going to take all this off and have my black T-shirt on, and I'll wear this over it, and that's what the rest of my day.
Mm-hmm.
You can take a picture of yourself. Are you going showing today?
Welcome back, and I'm your host, John Wilkinson, and you're listening to the Bring It Home radio show, and we're about halfway through the Magical Mystery Tour with Will and Cheyenne of Redfish Inspections fame. So, quick recap. We kind of talked about a few things, and we've got some more coming up about home preparedness, seasonal to some degree, but some of this really you should be doing at least a couple times a year.
Yes.
All right, so where are we at? I shared my list with you that you sent me. Again, this is all Will's list, just because I gave it to him to look at.
Had a refresh.
Yeah, it's a little refresh, that's all. So where are we at, Will?
There are so many things. One of the, I mean, a house is something that you've got to take care of, and you've got to maintain on a regular basis. We walk into $1 million properties as well as very cheap houses. And it doesn't matter how expensive the house is, you still have to maintain it. It doesn't matter who maintains it. Well, actually, it does. It does need to be maintained properly. One of the things that you want to do is clean your gutters on a regular basis. You don't want leaves to build up in there. But the cool thing also is when you have your gutters clean, you can see if you get granule loss, if you have asphalt shingles. So you can kind of determine the condition of your roof if you have a lot of granules in the gutters.
Right, and I've seen that before. I think you've showed me that before on an inspection we had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you want to make sure that you clean your gutters. You don't want water to run off. That could introduce water into the roof structure. You want to straighten your gutters as well. Again, you want all that water to go away from the property. Trim any branches that's going to get really close to the roof. It doesn't matter what type of material you have. You just don't want something that's going to, in high winds, just scrape that roof.
Yeah, and also terrible on windows.
Yes.
If you have, I have a crepe myrtle, 2 crepe myrtles in particular that are next to windows, and if I let them go too much, they tear up the screens.
And they grow like crazy too.
They do,
they
and
grow fast.
and you get yelled at if you cut them too short. Like
Is it one of the homeowners deals where you have to have 2 crepe myrtles?
No, it just happens to have, this house happens to have them, which is fine. We like them. My wife wished they were different colors, but the problem is that they have torn up screens. So that's another thing. Is just keep them trimmed. But you don't want to be accused of, what do they call it? Crepe murder.
Crepe murder.
I know. I'm like, people, there was our association was having this big thing where they were like, I can't believe they're doing that to that crepe. And I'm like, bzzz,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's causing damage to my house.
Did it grow back fine?
It did.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it looks a little bit weird where you cut it and then it grows out the sides, but I don't care.
It's whatever.
Yeah. It's
a plant.
Yeah, it's a plant and it's providing oxygen, so that's where it works.
I think maybe one of your next guests needs to be an arborist.
Ooh, that'd be kind of cool.
I'm dry on that subject. I'll be honest. I know to add magnesium to one of those one of those flowers to change it to make it blue from pink or something.
See, that's more than I know. I try to grow wisteria. It grows wild everywhere.
Wisteria?
That's my icebox. Wisteria. But I kill it. And I don't know how that works.
We're not gardeners. I'm totally replanting my front and back 2 times a year easily.
Amy Franklin just commented, Redfish, they did 3 inspections for us this summer. Love them. Hey, glad we were able to help you out.
Thanks, Amy.
Yes, absolutely.
Amy, thanks for the shout out. That's for sure. I can tell you that hopefully we'll see a lot more of that going on here.
More comments like that.
Yeah, more comments.
Absolutely. Another thing that you want to look at and that we write up on a regular basis is any type of openings that you have in your walls and your soffits as well. You don't want any excessive moisture to get in. You don't want pests to get in either. couple areas where you get pest intrusion, so rats, mice, squirrels, and they go all the way up into the attic. You've got two typical areas. The first one is where your AC lines go into the house, so that your unit outside, which is called the condenser, you have those lines that go through the wall. So just make sure that that's all sealed up. You can use urethane spray foam. You can use just something that's going to block it off. The other typical area, and that's very typical when you have mature trees that are really close to the roof, is that your soffit to roof connection. So where your shingles the video's on, so we'll be able to show properly. So you've got your soffit right here, and then the roof that connects, and you'll have a gap right in there. And the squirrels or any pests will be able to get into the attic space right there. So you can put like some mesh in there to prevent the pest intrusion. You can spray foam it in. No water really should get there because it's under the soffit. But yeah, we call that out 3-4 times a day.
Yeah, it's always fun to see the squished dead squirrel picture come across the phone.
I have that breezeway.
Uh-huh.
And I know that's how rodents can get in the house. And I don't really know how to block it, especially on the house side of it.
So you have a detached garage?
Yes.
Okay, so in the garage, you've got the breezeway that's connected in the garage.
Right.
And so right there, what you can do, what we see often, is just board it up as best as you can and then spray foam kind of around
Spray
any
foam.
openings. Yeah.
All right, I'll probably have to look at that because I looked at it once and it's about that big where they can kind
Yep.
of get in there. And I will tell you, I put, little poison thing in there. They do the little
Yep.
mice or rat poisons. May work, but I say don't do that because when they go die in your house.
They do. That's exactly what happened at my
And you
in-laws'
get that
house.
smell for a while, and you got to deal with
It's
that unless you
gross.
want to try to find it.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible.
Crunchy.
Yeah. It was terrible. We had that happen. Where my wife's like, "What smells?" And she's like taking tape and blocking all the drains, trying to isolate where the smell's coming from. And I go, "That's dead rodent. That's what that is." I go, "We can open up the walls and try to find it, or we can just let it pass." And it took her some convincing, but she let it pass. So my wife puts up with a lot of crap that I do. So anyway,
She's adding to that list now.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the furnaces, the AC system. Make sure that you change your air filters on a regular basis. So if you have the wall filters or the ceiling filters, typically those need to be replaced every month or so, depending on the quality of filter that you have. If you have what we call the media filter, which is up in the attic, usually right in front of the furnace, then those typically are replaced every 6 months. So
Yeah, I didn't know that existed until this year. And we've been in our house for 9 years.
What, you
So-
haven't replaced any?
No. I my regular filters, but the one that's at the furnace, I haven't.
Do you have one at the furnace?
Yes, there's a filter spot
Oh,
there.
yeah, because not every I don't have one of those.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, not every unit will have it. If you do have both,
what I like was that look of shock in your face, like you just found out you had filters.
well, I'm thinking you're working for an inspection company.
We give out this amazing book that tells you things like this.
Yeah. That's funny. That look was priceless. I know
So
we can't
a
get
little
it.
bit of building science again, and or HVAC science. When you have two filters, so if you have the media filter in the attic and then you have your wall filter or ceiling filter, you really don't want to have both of them at the same time because that could restrict too much air going through the filters and through the blower essentially and makes the blower work harder. If you do have pets and you do want to have that double filter, make sure that the wall or the ceiling filter is a very cheap one that
Right,
will just catch the
very
hairs.
thin stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen that. So there you go.
Good to know.
Now you know.
I'm enlightened.
So when you took that filter out for the first time,
I haven't taken it out yet.
Oh my gosh.
Nick?
I was going to say, what is Nick doing? The first thing I do if I learn a new job, I'm doing it at my house. I don't know. That's how I figure it. Okay.
All right, so one more because 'tis the season. Make sure that before you operate your fireplace for the first time, look up in the flue. Make sure you don't have any nests. Now, when you open up that flue for the first time, just be very careful because I've had wasps' nests just fall on my hands multiple times. And fortunately, it typically happens in the winter because they're trying to find a warmer place to stay. So they're kind of,
Dormant-ish.
Ish. So I have not got stung yet. But I light that fireplace up as fast as I can when they do fall.
And keep that flue open. Gosh darn it, I can't.
If you have a gas fireplace, then yes, your damper should never be able to shut completely. You should have like a clamp on the damper that prevents it from fully shutting.
Yeah,
and
some kind of lock. Yeah,
exactly. You want to be able to let the gas out should you have a gas leak.
And that happens more common than that because you think about it. It's most people keep their damper closed. Sometimes there's a little stopgap in there that won't let it close all the way, like you said. But even then, they forget to open it when they turn it on for the first time. And what happens? You get that dust burn off going on. You do get the carbon monoxide thing going on inside the house, and you can actually see kind of the black soot stuff even through gas coming up around the outside. So that's how you know your flue is generally not open or functional.
Speaking of carbon monoxide, so you'll want to replace the batteries and even the smoke detectors. So you want to really do that on a yearly basis. You don't want to wait until it starts beeping at 2 o'clock in the morning because that's always when it happens.
Yeah.
And in newer houses where you have one in every bedroom, one on each floor, and one in front of every bedroom, then that's a lot of smoke detectors and lots of beeping that goes off throughout the year. So, just replace them on a yearly basis. And if you want to install carbon monoxide detectors, just make sure you read the manual and where you're supposed to place them. Typically, it's within 5 feet of the floor.
Okay.
Of the floor.
Yeah.
Of the floor.
Ah,
That makes sense. It's a heavier gas.
It's a heavier gas. Yeah.
good to know.
Cheyenne's going,
Look,
oh,
I
crap.
completely removed ours because we get like a termite swarm every year, and they're all connected. So the termites will get in them, and it sets them off. So we don't have any up right now, and they've been down
Nick,
since April.
I don't know what's going. I think someone needs to have a talk with Nick. But
He's
I know.
actually out inspecting right now.
He's doing all my honeydew list too.
Gotcha. All right, guys, we're going to run into our final break. And if you haven't gotten your question in, now would be a great time. Remember, buying a property is a big financial to-do in your life. So don't go into it without knowing what you're buying. So I recommend Redfish Inspections. All right, Will and Cheyenne are here to lay down some truth. So get your questions in here, and we'll be back in a couple minutes.
I want to talk about pipes. Can we talk about pipes? Wrapping your pipes?
We can talk about pipes, then we're talking about mold. I promise people mold.
All right.
Mine's just a quick question on.
Well, no,
on
but
it.
we can, ask what you want.
Okay.
We can, mold. Mold can go on the back burner. No.
Well, we can always talk about it later.
There we go. We can always do that.
On our not last show.
Yeah, and he told me today.
Yay!
I'm excited. I am excited. And again, it couldn't come at a perfect time. So
Good.
Merry Christmas.
that's it. I got the
I
jacket.
got a sweater and a show.
And I get to see you guys for a while longer. I like I said, it's always great having people and you know their work and you can trust their work, and it's easier communicating with the people like that. So
And we love you. You know it.
I wasn't going to try to get too mushy, but now I'm going to wipe my.
Oh gosh.
Wait, you use that to wipe the table. You want the
That's
other
okay.
part.
It's only pledge, and she said I had a sheen anyway.
It'll just give you that just bright shininess in your eyes.
It's my
that
natural
twinkle.
oil. Oh, just the thought of that. Okay.
Doug Masinger said that he's wearing his hoodie.
Where is Doug?
He was behind you for a
Yeah, he
while
was
there.
dancing a while ago.
Oh, did Bertrand make it back from
No, he's still in
NYC?
Nueva York.
nice?
New York.
New York. It's. I did invite some family and friends that are in New York. They're probably not watching, but not that they don't want to. They're probably working.
Well,
If you
that's
are
the
watching,
amazing
hi
thing.
Aunt Joanne. Hi Mary. Thank you. 30 seconds. Rudy, if you're watching, I don't know.
So I know we had France watching. We had Finland watching. I'm still waiting on Australia. Although, what time is it in Australia right
I have no clue.
now? It's like
We need a world clock in
tomorrow,
here.
So.
All right, folks, if you're watching us now, we are during our radio break. Again, you can listen to us on www.vinyldraftradio.com. Of course, we'll be back live in 5 seconds.
He was just practicing. It would be Friday.
I am on, and we are still live at the Associated Credit Union of Texas studio in Houston, Texas. This is the Bringing It Home radio show, and I have been joined, and they're still here and still sporting the cool hoodie, which I should have put on at some point during this, but I would really be glistening. We have Will and Cheyenne from Redfish Inspections, and we're in our last segment of the show, and so we want to get a couple things in. We did talk about some home preparedness, seasonal preparedness, but Cheyenne had a question about pipes.
I did, because I was the responsible adult several years back, and I wrapped my pipes, and they're on there, and sometimes we throw a towel and some duct tape on it as well. But is it a big deal if you just leave that on all summer too? Or can you just keep it on all year?
Yeah, you can keep it on all year.
Okay, would cause an issue? I did moisture.
Let me get this right. You wrapped your pipes, but it's more like a towel and duct tape, and you leave that on all year? Is that what you're saying? I got like the foam
stuff that you wrap around it, the little casing.
Okay.
And then we put towels, and then we put duct tape.
Little
so yeah,
overzealous.
She does have towels and duct tape.
Yeah, so there
it was overzealous.
So if we can tell Cheyenne's house when we're driving into the neighborhood, and we've got these towels of different age and condition.
Yes.
Duct tape to the pipes.
Yes.
Looking sharp.
Fancy.
Looking sharp. Hey.
We see that all the time too.
I'm not knocking it, because you're one ahead of me. I still have yet to, if a pipe has come uncovered at my house, I have yet to do that. So you're still ahead of me on that. So kudos to you.
So my main water line actually froze in my first house. I don't know, 7 years ago. We woke up and no water in the house, and that was it was actually after. That's like 9 years ago.
So not when Jude was born.
No.
At 6, since he's going to be 6.
Exactly. No, it was after Ike.
Okay.
So yeah, 9 years ago. Anywho, it's when it snowed. But so what I had to do was create a tent. So I brought chairs out, and I put a towel, and I put a space heater in there, and it finally,
opened back up.
Yep, thawed it up. So
it didn't actually crack it; it just froze.
Correct.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
It was pretty minor. So.
Well, I was worried last week at the day of closing. It was right after the snow, and the walkthrough was coming through, and I was like, you know what? Chances are the house was vacant. I would go. Chances are there's going to be a water pipe broken. This is what happened last year.
Don't jinx
but
that.
It didn't happen, so we were fortunate. So anyway, we had promised the people mold. Let's talk about mold. Give us a little bit about you have now been certified. So give us an update. What's going on?
So as far as the mold is going to be it's always been a problematic issue that we're in a part of the country where there is a lot of mold.
Right.
But because of the hurricane, because of all the floods, it's something that we're probably going to see for the next 5-6 years. And that's even if we don't have any more flooding going on. And so what I would highly recommend, especially on older houses where the subdivision flooded, get a mold inspection or a mold sampling at the same time as your home inspection. You just want to know, you want to make sure if you've got, if you're clear or not. If you want to put your house on the market, man, I highly recommend getting that done, because then you can add that to your disclosure saying, hey, we don't have any mold, or we did, but it got fixed, and here's the proof of it. We've got the lab results. So
we got a lot of sound bites that we need to capture on this. I'm gonna have to go back. So let me ask this about mold. I think I know mold's not great for you, but we eat cheese, and that's basically a process through mold. And I guess my question is: there a lot more being made out of mold than really is necessary mold? If there's a lot of it in your house, there's a problem. If there's a small amount,
so we live in mold.
Right.
Indoor, outdoor. What you want to do is so the sampling that we do, we take an air sample outside, and then we take a couple on the inside. And the reason why we do that is because the lab wants to compare the count and the types of mold outside versus inside. Mm-hmm. And the EPA actually doesn't regulate mold. And so there's no real threshold. There's no
kind of baseline.
Exactly.
Is it more like a recommendation kind of thing?
Really, that's it. The interesting fact also is that apparently you can't. So you have sensitivities to mold. So one person can live, in a house full of mold and be just fine with it, versus another person will be a lot more sensitive to it. So there's you want to know what types of mold you have in your house and see if it needs to be treated. In my opinion, all mold needs to be treated. It doesn't matter what. You just don't want to have that because you don't know what kind of sensitivities your kids could have or you can have. So to answer your question, it's a yes and no type of answer.
Great. I like those.
But better
But it's
to be
good to know.
proactive about it,
But it's
too.
good to know if you have
and
that.
So a lot of people are scared of mold. And so if you are a seller and you have that lab result that says we're mold free or the count or this is the type of mold that we have, which is in every single house and it's not a huge issue, then you've got that disclosure. And so, that puts everybody at ease.
But I think a lot of it was based off of back during like Ike and Katrina, black mold was the scary word and everybody was moving out of their houses, and so there was a panic that kind of set in, and now it's looking at the different types of mold and seeing who's actually susceptible to it, the people that have compromised immune systems or babies or elderly, and so kind of looking at it
Right.
in a more formulated fashion, I guess. So.
And you now offer that. Am I correct? That
Yes, we offer mold samplings, absolutely.
And that's kind of something that you don't see a lot of. It is a I don't want to say it's a license per se. Is it a license?
Oh, you're absolutely licensed. So the state has actually relaxed the laws for a full year. So from September 7th of this year to next year, September 7th of next year, to where all you had to do was really take it's 2 or 3 classes and then get an E&O insurance, and then you can start taking mold samples. And the reason why they did that is because so many houses got flooded and the state was in need pretty much of mold inspectors. So the reason why we decided to do that is because we're already doing a very thorough home inspection. So now we can add on top, taking the samples, getting them analyzed legally, and then helping the clients out as much as possible, versus the person who was a baker, and I don't have anything against bakers, but deciding, hey, I'm going to go into the mold business. I have no idea what I'm doing. I took 2 or 3 online classes, but I still don't know really what I'm doing. So we're already on site. We're already inspecting. We can identify, and we know the buildings really well to where
kind of know the areas of where mold might pop up at.
Right.
And so, it's just it was a natural progression for the company, and we get to help out even more people that way.
And then there's a difference between the inspection, which is what, like a visual, like you look and acknowledge that it's there, and a sampling, which is what we do. So that's the
And the
further
sampling,
step.
you know where to take the samples from in essence, more than just
Yeah.
So-
And then on top of that, we use technologies that we've talked about before with the infrared thermal imaging,
Right.
with the moisture meters. So we're using all of that technology on top of it, versus the person who just signed a waiver and said, hey, I'm going to become a mold inspector for a year, and that's it. Just using his eye as a flashlight and his pumps.
So right now, that's just a red flag for you. It's very easy to become mold certified right now.
So what I've done is I've had all of my inspectors take those classes. So they're certified, or they've signed that waiver in order for them to do it. But that gives us a year to actually take the classes, because it takes a while to become a licensed mold inspector. But so we're able to help out as many people while still doing it legally and continuing it, and
Gotcha.
And everybody will be licensed. Yeah.
And that's perfect. And it totally makes sense. It's just among many of the things you offer as well. It ranks right up there. All right, guys, we are winding down on 1 hour of pure bliss with the Redfish dynamic duo of Will and Cheyenne. And, of course, there's more to your team than just you two. You guys just happen to be the face most of the time, even though I see Joan come by every once in a while. Well, partial of her face. Yeah, the top of her head.
Awesome office manager.
There she is. And so if she's listening, I say hi, Joan, and thanks for everything you do. I want to thank Will and Cheyenne for joining me this morning and sharing a little seasonal preparedness and some inspection info and more about mold sampling. If you're about to put an offer on a property and shopping for an inspection company, again, I mentioned you can always take the word and advice of your agent, and they're probably not steering you wrong, but you should shop around. And I think you'll find Redfish Inspection is not only competitive, but they kind of go one step beyond in my view. So how do we reach Redfish Inspections? Well, you can go to www.redfishinspections.com or call
713-568-8184.
All right, folks, don't forget this show and all of our others are available on www.vinyldraftradio.com and the Bringing It Home Radio Show Facebook page. Were you going to say something?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm smiling and agreeing.
And while you're there, give us a like and take a look around. And next week, 9 a.m., Thursday, we will have the Lori Kopic. That's her title from now on. But she is now the Clear Lake branch manager for Prime Lending. So, folks, stay tuned. We have the Dorsey Show coming on next. A little interesting for us. And other than that, we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Au revoir.